Away from oil, the Nigerian Ministry of Transportation story. Diversification of the Nigerian economy is top priority for President Muhammad Buhari's administration and one of the core mandates of the Ministry of Transportation under Right Honorable Chibuike Rotimi Amaechi as the Honorable Minister. The reforms carried out, growth recorded, investment opportunities created in just 3 years by the ministry are truly remarkable.
My name is Chibuike Rotimi Amaechi. I currently serve as the Minister for Transportation in the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Lack of enabling infrastructure investment, which led to infrastructure bottlenecks, which in turn hindered diversification efforts in the country, was tackled head-on, starting with the railway revolution.
The intermodal system of transportation was not properly put in place by the time we came, so the railway suffered the most. You will say that the road transportation was working, even though not in its optimal capacity, and in the seaports, and then the maritime mode of transportation. The railway had suffered a bit. The aviation was also working. So we decided to focus on that, and the country is surprised, I won't say they are shocked, at the rapid rate at which we are developing. That we have just completed the Kaduna-Abuja rail line. We've also been able to complete for 34 years. The Warri rail line was abandoned. We've completed it and we'll put it to use. I had to take it the other day to Warri. And then we're working on the Lagos-Ibadan. We believe that the moment you're able to do the Lagos to Kano, Port Harcourt to Maiduguri, and Lagos to Calabar, you've literally connected close to 80 to 90% of Nigeria.
The Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Transportation, exhibited great understanding of the mandate and the benefits of efficient transportation system to any economy.
Transportation as it is supposed to be the key driver of the economy, and therefore with the current modernization of the rail that is being carried out by the government, and as well as rehabilitation of the old rail system in the country, you will expect that there will be massive movement of agricultural products from the various producing areas to the needy areas through the rail. And everybody knows that moving things by rail is cheaper and is faster, and it will lift the road from the consequences of moving things on the road by truck, and which will now help the road to last longer. It will also reduce the number of trucks on the roads, which will now reduce accidents and a lot of things. And you will now find out that with that advantages, monies that would have gone into road construction or road rehabilitation can now be used to other sectors of the economy, whether it is health, whether it is education, whether it is other economic areas for the improvement of agricultural activities and so on and so forth, education and so on and so forth. With that, you find out that transportation would have played a role, both those that can easily be seen, because people will only look at movement of goods and people and services by road. They will not know the other linkage advantages that transportation would have played. So I see it as taking over a greater part of it. And then you look at it also from the other aspect. I've only talked about the rail. You go to the maritime sector, whereby as at today, under this administration, there is greater reduction of insecurity in the maritime sector, that is inside the waters, because the government has brought up what we call integrated surveillance and protection of the waterways. With that, all the piracy and a lot of incidences we have in the waters will be reduced greatly. That will encourage a lot of movements into our ports through the waters of Nigeria and the ports in Nigeria, and that will boost will boost the economic activities, and then will generate a lot of revenue, not only to the whether you call it Nigerian Ports Authority, whether you call it Nigerian Maritime Safety Administration, whether you call it Shippers Council, but will also generate more revenue to customs, and then the Federal Inland Revenue Service, and then more money will now be received through that system. And I think it will greatly help in diversification of the economy.
Transport drives the economy most of the time. We need modern infrastructure. We need deep seaports. We need the rail revolution that is going on here. We need the transport to be the center of economic activities, or to translate all the efforts done in agriculture, in mining. Unless you have modern, efficient transport system, all these efforts will be in vain.
And the moment you do that, what do you achieve? You create employment. That by creating employment, you invigorate the economy. So the economy grows because you're able to move goods and services on the rail. And don't forget that the rail services is subsidized.
Those people who never use train in Nigeria are now scrambling to use the train. And no reform should be more than that. The staff have reformed their mind and body to provide the service, no matter the problem, to ensure that the people that are using the service are quite comfortable when they are on it. And we try to market ourselves by providing good service to the users, and so far so good. The professionals, we try to position them as much as possible to be happy. You have to have a happy workforce, no matter the English you speak. If the labor is not happy, the reform will not take its route. And the minister is almost a railway minister, because it's with us at least once every month. Everybody is putting his private and individual interests aside and taking the interest of the nation as our main goal. So that's why we have achieved what was thought is not going to be done. Under 6 months, we have started running Kaduna and Abuja.
We are currently constructing the Lagos-Ibadan, which is 156 kilometers per hour, 156 kilometers of rail line, and has the capacity to do 150 kilometers per hour if we complete it. Our target is to see if we can complete it in December. If we can't, we don't want to exceed January, February.
There is no gainsaying that Nigeria presents a large market in terms of agricultural value chain, but the absence of good railway systems has hindered the progress, especially with rural farmers accessing urban markets. Beyond the benefits of moving goods and services, a good railway system would reduce the number of trucks on Nigerian roads, thereby preserving the environment and saving the government money on road maintenance.
And what currently the capacity of the Nigerian Railway Corporation to move goods from or cargo or freight from Lagos seaport to Kano is at 100 tons per year, which is little than nothing. So the current rehabilitation that is ongoing will be able to decongest the seaport. Again, the time to business is improved upon. People will be glad to import through the seaport, thereby creating more employment opportunities. Currently, there's a clog, and that has made it difficult for people to move their goods and frustrating business and creating unemployment.
So a lot of these trailers are literally just tramping and being on the road, not because they have any specific things to do. The Nigerian Ports is not mandated to provide trailer park, but what we decided to do is to license trailer parks and holding bays. So every trailer or truck needs to be housed in a holding bay or before it comes to the port. So except if you have been called upon to come into the to port to either receive or deliver cargo, then you will not be on the road. And that is a big, I would say, initiative that we hope would solve the congestion that we see in the ports.
What we are trying to do is to coordinate, superintend and supervise the operations of transport infrastructure so that we develop intermodalism and have a seamless transport system. I think we have done a lot, but of course there are challenges and a lot to still be done. As a matter of fact, the President commissioned in January this year the Kaduna Dry Port, which is functioning now.
In the era of maritime, the current administration took the issues of insecurity and positioning of Nigeria as leader in maritime activities in Africa very seriously.
What is affecting our maritime currently is insecurity in the waterways, and we're dealing with that. The federal government just awarded a contract of $195 million to clean up the waterways. And what I mean by cleaning up the waterways is that they will put security in the water and ensure that no crime takes place in the water. After that, they will train military, who they will then hand over to into 1 to 3 years.
I would say that the maritime industry is being reformed because of the commitment and support that we've been able to receive from the minister and from the president.
We want to eliminate maritime security incidences, or what we call piracy and related maritime crime. To do that also, we are putting the right structures in place. We are investing in intelligence. We are investing in response capability of both our agency and our military partners in the Navy and in the Air Force. We're also looking at putting in place the right legal framework to ensure that we fight piracy. So we want to reduce maritime crime. We want to be the country with zero tolerance for substandard shipping. Then, in addition to that, we have also looked at the way we carry out our port state control, flag state control, and coastal state control. The port state control speaks to the fact that we inspect foreign vessels to ensure compliance with the minimal standard that is required by our country laws or municipal laws. Flag states are the vessels, ships that carry our flag, by extension carry our identity. Coastal states are those vessels that operate within our coastal waters. Now, before now, you could come into Nigeria with substandard vessels and escape the regulator. Not anymore. We now ensure that we put a new system in place that has strengthened our flag, port, and coastal state control regime. The second thing we did was to commence the process of automating our procedures in NIMASA. And by that automation, we hope to reduce human contact, which by implication will reduce corruption.
The reforms carried out in the maritime subsector started yielding results immediately, and more are expected to come.
The impact of that is that it has enhanced the revenue collectible by NIMASA. That's why in the first 1 year of our watch here as chief executive, we're able to remit to the federated account 21 billion naira in 1 year. If you compare that to what had been remitted hitherto of about 3 billion, which is the maximum, you now know the difference.
We see, I'll say, leaps of bounds of opportunities. In 2017, we were able to record a 67% increase in our revenues. For 2016, we had 175 billion naira. In 2017, we had 299 billion.
The minister attributed the increase in revenue to teamwork, dedication, and discipline.
Fiscal discipline will stop corruption. We'll return to the 2 billion naira from NIMASA to federal government. Never happened before. Never happened before. The same way MP has wiped out all their past debts that the former government, the former management of MP were not paying to federal government as coffers. They've cleaned it out and they start paying from when we took over. So it's physical discipline and eradicating corruption. And if you don't do it, the president will put you in jail. Take it for free.
The ministry recognizes also the need to invest in human capacity building and have made investments in this area to ensure sustainability of the reforms.
The current government has given us tremendous help by releasing most of the required funds we need to focus on that human capital development on that aspect. Both sides, that is the trainers and the trainees. Those of us that are training them, we have been allowed the human capital development for us to go on continuous training so as to know the best practices as at current ones. While those we train are already in the industry, we now bring them here to get them on the current issues. Government has been supportive of that by releasing our funds and giving us certain aspects of capital development projects that we asked for. You know, we have 774 local government in Nigeria, and we wanted transportation impact and logistic impact in all those places. And in addition to that, with the support of the ministry and the minister itself, there is what we call using transportation to reduce poverty. So we have started the research with them, with their permission, that how can we use that transportation and logistics to reduce poverty. The key area there is the informal sector. And we found out that if it is used to generate, to the extent that the preliminary study showed that a period of 1 year, if they want to do a bus, for example, and involve those people by buying a bus head, and they will engage them to build it, it will generate more than 10 million jobs in that area. That's another aspect that they told us. Apart from the training on long term, the short term, the consultancy, the research, we should at least see the impact of that transportation in the issue of reducing poverty. In other words, increasing the wealth of the nation.
The academy at some point collapsed. They were on the verge of being delisted by the IMO as a training provider for seafarers worldwide, you know. But the Honorable Minister decided to intervene, because my greatest challenge is that the cadets are not properly trained because they don't have the requisite teaching aids to even teach them. And those, even if the aids are present, those who have the knowledge to use those aids to teach those students and the cadets are not there. So I've just come back from India. I went to see a company recommended by the IMO called ARI. They are present in Ghana, Algeria. They have some equipment in the Arab Academy in Egypt too, and they have some staff there. We are in talks with them. The minister sent us there, and with his full support, we acquired the equipment, and the narrative will change entirely. I have plans to meet with professionals from the field in the next 2 weeks and let them decide if they want to come in here as full-time lecturers or part-time or visiting. Then we'll take them on contracts.
For the past 3 years, government has been of tremendous help to the development of inland waterways system in Nigeria, because the revenue allocation of NEWA has increased by about 500%. And then also, even our allocation-wise, we're able to have, our allocation has increased tremendously. Last year, we're able to have about 60% also released from government, and that is why we're able to complete the Barrow port, and we're going to also verify in completing Lokoja ports.
The reforms have opened multiple investment opportunities for intra-African and foreign investors to tap into, and the ministry says we're open for business.
Please, whatever money you have, bring. We're open. You want to do railway, we'll give you the railway to do. You want to construct roads, you want to do maritime. When you make a business decision, it follows with where can I secure my investment.
You see, the beauty of it is that rail is an infrastructure based on that people think twice to invest in it. But there are a lot of things that accompany the rail industry that people can invest in. You can invest in ticketing, you can invest in security, you can invest in communication, you can invest in, rail goes with development. You can invest in housing units. The big stations like Victoria, if you go there, see all things take place there. You'll see like a shopping hub, and the people sometimes go there for meetings. So that's the way we want to go. People can invest in having a very modern station with a 5-star hotel attached, with event place, with parking lots, and that one will boost the rail industry.
PPP, public-private partnership, is what will deliver transport infrastructure. We have seen it with Deep Sea, Lake Deep Sea Port. We have seen some of it with the railway. Probably it will extend to roads. And what we are saying is government is constrained to take part or to spend, because of paucity of funds. And it has to rely on the private sector for the apportionment of this risk, for delivery of infrastructure. And Nigerian Shippers Council, together with other agencies like the ICRC, are on top of it, trying to bring this partnership between the public and private sector so that we have efficient, modern transport infrastructure.
Nigerian Ports Authority plays the role of a regulator. So we have the private sector operating 22 of our terminals. So as we have concession agreements with them, we have other existing locations that have not been concessioned. So we seek to have private sector and indeed foreign direct investment coming into, for example, the Cocoa Port. We have that, and we're discussing with the ICRC, Infrastructure and Regulatory Concessioning Commission, and the Bureau for Public Enterprise on commencing the process of concessioning our Cocoa Terminal. We're looking at the Buru 2 terminal, so Buru 2 port. So these are, I'll say, immediate port investment opportunities. We also have the need for deep sea ports in the country. Currently, there are ongoing discussions on developing deep sea ports across the country. So that also is an avenue for direct investment into the country. Another leg to investment within the port community is attributable to the provision of energy. The Nigerian ports is mandated to provide energy and water utilities to the ports and to vessels that come in country. So there are opportunities for investors to come and deploy energy within our port locations for the terminal operators, and also for vessels. We're keen to ensure and have all our processes being done transparently, so any potential investor is comforted with the fact that his tender, his bid would be taken for its merit, and all necessary transparent procedures are put in place to address that.
The entire value chain in maritime industry, you can have PPP. Is it in the acquisition of vessels? We're doing a national fleet, and the national fleet is facilitated by government, but it's not going to be owned by government. Government will simply serve as facilitator. We're getting a core investor and getting private people to invest their funds. Government will provide opportunities for them to make money and of course contribute to the GDP of our country. So that's one, the area of ship acquisition. Now the other one is in the area of shipyard. We're already looking at collaboration with Nigerian Content Development Board, whereas the Cabotage Act supports the building of vessels in country. That our people have not taken advantage of that for three simple reasons. One is the lack of a solid aluminium industry or steel industry. Steel is a major component of building ships. The other one is the cost of finance. The third is technical know-how. So how are we going to address that? Now, in collaboration with private people, we could start with them setting up shipbuilding factories in country here. And with that, we will commence the era of shipbuilding. Nigeria, amongst other nations, have the highest number of cabotage vessels in the continent of Africa. If this number of vessels are built in country, you can imagine the employment it will create. You can imagine the multiplier effect, not only in employment, in wealth creation and other benefits that will come with it.
We're a huge market, if not the biggest market in Africa. And we're not just big for the sake of being big. We also have what they call buying power.